anyway, that's kind of what's new with us. And I want to tell you that over the last 2 years, we have probably had our most successful, most effective, productive time in our whole 14, 15 years that we've been doing this. In fact, this year, it's going better than ever. We have a fantastic new group of students that came in January, and they are just excelling like we have never had any group of students before. We're just getting better at our recruiting, and now that we're more established and we got a better program, as I'm fixing to tell you, we're getting a lot better recruiting and better students, quality of students that are interested in coming. So, and more people all through the country know about us and what we're about, and they're wanting to send good people to us. They also know if they don't send good people to us, we kick them out. We don't hesitate to kick out guys that aren't serious and aren't quality guys. I recruit 17, hoping I'll end up, by the end of the first year, I'll end up with 12. My goal is to graduate 12 every year. I thought that's a good number. Jesus, 3-year, he had a 3-year program. He produced 12. One was a dud, but, he had 11. He had 11 that made it out, right? Okay, so I thought if we could graduate 12 every year, one will be a dud, will produce 11 good ones, maybe. So I recruit 17, unlike Jesus. I recruit 17, and we usually lose a third of them. The last 2 years, we lost more than a third, so I bumped it up to 20. But our program is a hard program. Our students, if they don't want to work and they don't want to go through this, and they soon learn after they get there, this ain't an easy program. I call it boot camp for disciple ministry. They quit or we kick them out. And the other day, we had 20, we're down to 19 already. They arrived, and in 2 days, one guy just disappeared. The security guard, he said, I hadn't seen him, I don't know where he's at. Well, fellas, he just in the middle of the night crawled under the fence, and he hightailed it out of there. We ain't seen or heard from him since. But anyway, let me get on with this. If you're not getting our newsletter, we would love to send you our newsletter. Just, I put a little table back there. You can sign up either by regular mail or by email. Either way, we of course have our Facebook and web pages. I put some brochures. All the information about our Facebook and web page and email and all that is on the yellow brochure, so be sure to pick that one up. One on Terrence Kids and the education ministry. We've been really, we're starting our 15th year in Zambia, and we're there to make a difference. Now, to understand how to go about making a difference, you got to understand the context. You need to understand what you're working, what the environment is, ministry context in which you're trying to address. You got to understand the context. Well, first of all, I'll just tell you, Zambia is one of the poorest countries in the world. We are at the bottom of the barrel. The UN produced a report a couple of years ago, said that Zambia is the most malnourished country in all of Africa. We're second in the world behind Haiti. It's not because we're starving, it's just because they don't eat anything but corn. Their diet, 85% of it plus, is nothing but starch. They don't get a lot of protein. And that's the main reason for that. They don't have good nutrition. But we're very poor, but the good news is that poverty has a way of increasing receptivity. Zambia is a very receptive country. People willing to talk to you about the Lord any day of the week. They're not that busy, they'll stop what they're doing and talk with you. It's a very receptive place. You can plant a church really easy. And 85% of Zambia even claims to be Christian. Now, I know you hear a lot about Islam in Africa. They're taking Africa and all that stuff. Don't believe it. It's not true. Sub-Saharan Africa has solidly gone Christian. Islam is not making much headway. Now, I know you hear about it in the countries that are along the Sahara Desert because that's where Islam and Christianity kind of meet. But Islam is not moving south. They're moving a little, but Christianity is taking sub-Saharan Africa. In fact, more people attend church in Africa than attend church in North America and Europe combined. In fact, twice as many. Twice as many. I went and dug out the figures on that. And I was shocked. I knew it was more, but I heard it was more, but it's twice as much. That includes Mexico too, where a lot of Catholics go to church. twice as many. So if you want to think where Christianity is today, think south of the equator. They call that the global south, the Christian south. Christianity has taken sub-Saharan Africa and south of the equator in big numbers. However, the bad news, it's extremely anemic. It's very surface level at this point. Zambia ranks second in Africa as having the number of people claiming to be Christian. But the quality of that faith is very, very anemic. I think in talking to other missionaries who have traveled in Africa, and I have everywhere in Africa, we believe, in our estimation, those of us who have been in Zambia believe that the quality of Christianity in Zambia is the weakest anywhere. And there's several reasons for that. One of the reasons is because of poor leadership. Zambia didn't get a lot of missionaries. We're in the middle of the continent. If you know anything about African Christianity, it started on the west coast, especially in West Africa, and then it was around the coasts of Africa. But Zambia is right in the middle of the continent, and they didn't get a lot of missionaries to go there. It's been a very poor country. It didn't attract a lot of attention. And the missionaries that went to, and I'm speaking Church of Christ and everybody, okay, they didn't do a lot for leadership training either. And so our leadership is very poor in Zambia, in any Church of Christ or anyone else. Very anemic, very poor quality. And I talked to denominational leaders in Zambia, and they're telling me the same thing. Our leaders are poorly trained. They're corrupt. They're immoral. They steal from the church treasury. And all they seem to do is preach about money. You've heard of, turn on your TV Sunday morning, you'll hear health, wealth, and success gospel, right? If you'll give to the Lord's going to bless you, you know. Well, that's African. That's the gospel in Africa. And you'll hear preachers preaching money, 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 give, 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 because they're wanting more money. And it's really sad. And you just turn on the TV in Africa, it's so blatant, materialistic, it's pathetic, but that's because they're so poor. Anyway, that's kind of our problem. So if we're going to make a difference in that country, what do you think we need to focus on? Leadership. And that is what our ministry is focused on. Spiritual leadership. Not just leadership, spiritual quality leadership. So that is what our mission statement is, and I'm going to go through and explain how we're trying to do this. Now, I've shared kind of our organizational ministry, and I'm going to go through the nuts and bolts and kind of give you updates on all this. I'll start with kind of the humanitarian side of it first, because it's part of our Bible college training. Terrence Kids ministry, of course, is focused on trying to save the babies, the first 2-3 years of life. We have noticed that half the children in Zambia die before they reach 12 years of age, but most of those children are dying in the first 2 or 3 years of life. And the reason is not because they become orphans, because in Zambia they have extended families to step in and give them a place to live. The problem is the mother. If that mother in those first 2 years especially, if that mother dies, or she is too anemic, or has HIV and cannot nurse that child, they do not have a substitute. They don't have cow's milk. They don't have cows. They can't afford baby formula, $45 a month, and they don't have any income. So there's the problem. And mothers who have HIV go ahead and nurse their babies, because what else can they do? And so what happens is these babies, they get HIV, or they just get so malnourished because the mother can't nurse them that they just get sick and die in those first 2 years. And so Karen's ministry is basically focused on that. She goes to the market, she buys food in bulk. With whatever money she has, she just buys a lot of food. Then she goes out and she has a circuit, and she delivers food both to the mother, because we want to keep that mother healthy, and also she gives baby formula to those mothers who can't nurse their children, or if they have HIV. And so that's kind of the ministry that Karen is involved in. And I just want to show you a few pictures. These are some pictures of children whose lives Karen has saved over the last few years. These aren't all of them. And I've got a picture book, a photo book, 3 copies of it back there on the table. You can grab it maybe between class periods and you can look at that. There's more pictures in that photo book back there for you to look at. There's the photo book. Just pick it up and take a look at it afterwards. We've just finished the baby house, and we're in the process of trying to get the proper government paperwork to put it into operation. We don't believe in orphanages. This is just temporary for those children in the first 2 or 3 years of life when their home situation or health gets so bad they need some temporary housing. But our goal is to get those children back to those parents. We don't want to raise Zambian kids because Zambians can raise their children, and that's where they ought to be anyway. I don't believe in orphanages, so it takes too much money to support these orphanages. That's a whole other subject why I don't think we ought to be doing that. This is basically temporary intervention to try to save the lives of these babies, and also when the mother has HIV, as I said, Karen will give them the baby formula. She also helps with kids that are real sick or in the hospital. She'll hear about it and go to the hospitals and try to help. Or kids with special needs like Ryan, who was born deaf and blind. We got an operation and now he can see. He's about 8 or 9 years old. He's back with his family doing very well. He's still deaf, but he's doing fine. Carol is one of several kids that Karen has come across that have cerebral palsy or similar diseases. And she's been working with the mother, teaching her about nutrition and physical therapy. We recently bought a special chair for her that helps her exercise and strengthen those back muscles and helping her to sit up. And it's kind of a high chair, but it's also for helping her to learn how to sit up and strengthen those muscles in her body. And so that's kind of Karen's ministry. Another area is education, because my wife is a trained teacher, master's in education, so you would see how she would be interested in this area. Zambia has a real serious problem. Very poor country. We can't afford schools and training teachers and running schools and maintaining them and all that. What has got to happen is local villages have got to start building their own schools and running them. But it's not really, it's happening in the rest of Africa, but for some reason, Zambia can't seem to get their act together. There's a lot of reasons for that, but they just can't seem to do it. So we're trying to help teach our students how they can start a community school and they can teach in that community school, put it into church, kind of like the one-room schoolhouses in this country. In the past, they were in churches and the preachers often were the school teachers. It's kind of a page out of the American West in this case. So we have started our own Christian school. It has up to grade 7. We have about 200 students. We started this because, first of all, it's a great community need. There's no school in our area. Also, where would our students' kids go to school? And our staff children. So we kind of had to start our own school for that reason. And we realized that this is the best way to train students and their wives, how to start, run, and teach in a community school in the village. So that helps give them that practical training. We just finished building 3 new classrooms for our school, and so we are now in this year kind of in some expansion. And so there's kind of a picture of our students. There are the 5 teachers. And by the way, they've had some training in being teachers, but when Lori is over there, like right now, she's giving them she's training our teachers how to be real teachers. And so the quality of our school is very, very good. So we're starting to get a waiting list of people wanting to get their kids. We have started a lunch program. We got to realizing that half of the kids that are coming to our school are coming from, not half of them, but a big part of them, are coming from a potato farm. Now, the poorest of the poor in Africa are those who do agriculture work because they don't have their own land, so they're having to work on somebody else's land and they don't pay them nothing. And it's kind of like the sharecroppers in this country, 100 years ago. So their fate is pretty bad. Well, these kids are coming from the potato farm, and what do you think they were bringing for lunch? A potato, a cold, nasty potato. And they weren't waiting until lunchtime. They would be back there in the back of the classroom eating because they're very malnourished kids. And we noticed they don't play. They don't run around recess and kick the soccer ball. They don't laugh, and they weren't doing so good in school, and they're very lethargic. So we were sharing this story with someone here in the U.S., and I said, well, why don't you start a lunch program? And they gave us startup money for that. And so Lori went back to Zambia, and she came up with a recipe, a high-protein, high-nutrition meal that we could make cheap. And so for $6 a day, we feed 120 kids. Now, what's lunch for a kid in this school, in this country now? About $6, $5 or $6. So for what you guys feed one kid at school today, and sometimes it's not all that nutritious either, but for what we feed our kids here, we can feed 120 there. Now, that don't look good to me. But these kids, they suddenly started playing and laughing and kicking the soccer ball, and suddenly they got smart. Amazing what some nutrition will do to a kid, you know? So we kind of cheap program. We love this. We love finding a need and finding a way to solve that need with very little money. And so that's kind of a little thing we're proud of, that little lunch program. Very cheap. Then there's the medical area. We used to do a lot of medical missions. We'd go out and, through villages and do medical missions and everything. But we kind of pulled back from that because I don't really think that's that effective. It's extremely expensive. So we've gone more now to preventive medicine. We're especially trying to teach our students about nutrition. Lori teaches them a lot about, she teaches a class called Where There Is No Doctor. And by the time she finishes, they know all kinds of stuff. And a lot of things that ail people in Zambia could be preventive, and they're the same old thing over and over. So every village in Zambia has a village health care officer. The government mandated. They said, we will now have village health care officers in all our villages. Well, they didn't train anybody. They didn't put any money into it. But guess what? Every village has a village health care officer. They know nothing, but they got one. Well, we saw that, hey, we could train our guys, our husband, the men and their wives, and they can go back to the village and they can become really a full-blown, effective medical officer in the local village and help people. And we teach them a lot about sanitation, food preservation, and so much could be malaria. You get rid of standing water, get rid of mosquitoes, get the latrines. There's something you can put in there to stop mosquitoes breeding in latrines. We teach them about sanitation, basic sanitation and stuff. I wrote about this in the last newsletter. We just had an outbreak of cholera, killed a bunch of people in Zambia. And the main reason was just bad sanitation. So there's a lot that we are doing now in medical missions, is preventive medicine, especially teaching our students and their wives. And then there's our Optical Clinic. My brother in Amarillo gave us $14,000, and we were able to buy this kit. And it's good at, you can take this computer and this machine, this instrument, and you can read people's eyes. It'll print out a prescription. And you can go over, we have about 10,000 donated eyeglasses, and we can go over there and match people with eyeglasses. And this is one of our funnest ministries. It's like healing the blind. You know what it's like to give someone who's 50, 60 years old their first pair of glasses? How many of y'all have to have glasses to see? What do they call that? Nearsighted? Yeah, well, what would life be like for you if you had never had a pair of eyeglasses? We've had funny things like they put on a guy who had glasses. He looked around and says, "Oh, those trees have leaves on them." He'd never seen the leaves on a tree. Or one guy, I may have told you this story last time I was here, but it's such a good one. There's an old couple that came in, we put glasses on, he looked over at his wife and said, "Oh, I married a beautiful woman." And I thought, she doesn't look that good to me. He didn't take them off and say, "Oh, just keep these." No, he looked at her, and the first time he'd ever seen her. And so that's a fun thing. They went down the road dancing, so we kind of love this ministry. Again, real cheap ministry. We don't put a lot of money into it. Now, you know what they call Lori on our campus? They call her Dr. Lori. Now, I want y'all to know, in our family, I'm the only one that has a doctor's degree. You know what they call me? Did-Daddy. That's the name that came from my granddaughter, who's now 13, many years ago, and she couldn't say granddaddy. It came out Did-Daddy. And everybody picked it up because I don't like them calling me titles, And, well, they picked that one up, so I get called the name my granddaughter couldn't even say. My wife gets called Dr. Lori. Well, one of the reasons, because when people get sick, guess where they go? They go to my wife, she gives them medicine. We don't send them to doctors in Zambia. They say, oh, they got malaria, here, take this. They don't have malaria, they don't know what. They're poorly trained doctors. Lori does a better job. And she's the eye doctor, so yeah, they keep calling her. But I want y'all to know something. It's not Lori, she's not a real eye doctor. It's the machine that's doing all the work. It's just not fair. You know, you get no respect. Anyway, it's just always funny. They come up and say, Dr. Lori. Oh, wait, she's not a real doctor here. Anyway, let me talk about the Bible College now, because that's the primary part of our, in the heart and soul of our ministry. Sandy is the director of our program. I had to recruit him from West Africa because we just don't have anybody who's been trained at all in Zambia. So I had to reach out and bring someone from the outside. But we are developing our staff, and this has been my biggest challenge, I'm telling you, to develop a good teaching staff. But we're getting there. This past year, I hired Boniface and his wife, Jean, who's now the head of our women's program. And Lori's just telling me every day I talk to her, she says, she's doing such a fantastic job with the women. But Boniface is 56 years old, he and his wife, and that brought some maturity, and they're very spiritual-minded people. He's had no formal Bible training, but he's brought a tremendous spiritual component to our ministry. So I have some younger guys for the future, but I've also got some older guys to bring the maturity and the spiritual. So we got a tremendous staff right now. We've had over 500 that have graduated from our program. We are now a 3-year program as of this year officially, or in reality, we are a 3-year program. I have been working at getting here to this point right now for 7 or 8 years. A long time ago, I realized we need to train older men who are married, and they need to bring their wives, and we need to train the wives. Because I got to realizing in Africa, it's the women who communicate information. In Africa, men get information, and they want to hold it and keep it to themselves, because why would you share what you... Knowledge is power. And if you know something, use it to exalt yourself or to advance yourself. You share stuff with women, they want to save their kids, and they share it. So I want to train the wives. And we need to train them as teams, because I saw too many men have problems with their wives also. So we now said that we want to have 85% of our students who are married, and they have to bring their wife. And if their wife comes and doesn't stay, they can't stay. We want to train both of them. So here's just some pictures of the wives from last year. These are the first-year students that just came in, 20 of them, now 19 of them in January. And Lori just is telling me this is the best group we've ever had. They are just knocking it out. These are our second and what's left of our second and third year. We're down to 9 students now in each of the two first, second year, and third year programs from 17. That's why I went from 17 to recruiting 20 now. Our program, as I told you, is not easy. And here's a picture taken about 2 weeks ago with all our students. And see, in January, our third class of students, so we got first, second, and third year students now on our campus. And that's a major milestone for us. I said we've been working at this goal for 7 years. It took building apartments because, you know, it's easy to build a dorm and put a bunch of men in there without their wives or single guys. It's cheaper, you just feed them, put them in a big dorm. But when you go to bringing in families and some of their kids, and you got to have apartments, it starts getting a whole lot more expensive. And so that's kind of why, and just building the facilities. So it's been a long time goal. I'm really tickled that we've now passed this milestone. And by the way, we got at least 15 more wives that are going to be coming in April to join their husbands. So we're going to have quite a group of people that will be there. These are the apartment buildings that I have built. Block E here has now been finished. Whoops, I had a picture there of it. It's all finished. There it is. So this one just got finished, and so now we got 25 apartments built, and we're working on Block F, the 6th building, and that'll bring us up to 30 apartments. And that's where it was 2 days ago, where we took a picture of it. So that'll be finished by April, and that's when the wives come, because we're going to need it then for the husbands. They're doubled up in apartments, but now they'll need each of them their own apartment. But that'll be finished in April, and we will then have the 30 apartments. I don't know, we may build another apartment building. I haven't quite decided yet, but that was my original plan, to get 30 apartments. This is our dorm for the few single students that we have. And that means with all our students and their wives, we're 65, 70 students, because our women are also, the wives are also in class too, and they're getting trained as well. Our primary focus is to develop spiritual leaders. Now, if you look at our Bible program, we have our small classroom, and then, let's see, I flipped through that. Well, there's the inside of the small classroom, and then we have a large classroom that meets in our auditorium, and there's a picture of me teaching a few weeks ago. We are trying, as I said, to develop spiritual leaders, and so our Bible, very, very important part of our Bible training, leadership training, is our, what I call our Department of Spiritual Formation, and basically it's mentoring. I've come to realize that if you want to develop a person spiritually, you've got to spend a lot of one-on-one time with them, talking about what they're learning in class and helping them to process it, and talk about how does that apply to you, and getting serious about talking to their own life, about their own life, and praying with them and helping them develop their spiritual life. And you do that one-on-one, and you do it with small groups, with them in small groups. So we do both. And that's why I have a larger teaching staff than I need, because our teachers, they may teach only one class a day or every other day, but they're spending most of their time with their students during the week. Most of their work is done with the students outside the classroom. So with this program, we're developing, it's all about spiritual formation, life transformation. We want to see these students grow spiritually while they're there. And if we don't see them growing spiritually, and they're not really interested, not responding, we put them out. I don't want to train a guy and waste my time and money on a guy that's not got any hope, you know. Now, with our ministry training, we, of course, are teaching them how to make disciples. And the students are divided into small groups of 5 and 6. And each group goes out and picks a village. And for the next 3 years that they're there, they are out doing ministry. They go on Saturdays and most every Sunday afternoon. In fact, right now, it's 3 o'clock over there. Our students are still out and doing their evangelism in their villages right now. So they're out there right now working in a village. They go out, they build relations, and when people are sick, they pray with them, and they help them with their crops if they're sick. And they're learning how to ministry, not just doing disciple making, but how to build relationships and to share knowledge and work in that village to help make a difference. So they learn how to do now what I'm hoping they'll do when they go back to their village in 3 years. If I want them to do this 3 years from now, I got to get them doing it now. See? Or don't expect that they will do it when they get home. So you got to train them, and they got to get used to doing it constantly, every weekend. They're going out. That's a very important part of our training program. And I kind of noticed that when people are engaging ministry, they also grow spiritually. Interesting. By the way, who grows the most in a Bible class? The teacher. You want to help a guy to grow? Let's make him a teacher. Let him teach for a while. Boy, he'll have to start studying and he'll start growing. That's the best way to help someone to grow. Anyway, that's kind of the thing. So our students go out and they walk, they ride bicycles. Sometimes we drive them out there and drop them, and then they walk back. So they're going out into the village. Now, we also want them to be self-supporting. I do not believe, this is a whole other subject, I could talk an hour on it or more, but I don't think we ought to be putting nationals in third world countries. I don't think we ought to be putting them on support from America. They got to be self-supporting, and so there's where our agriculture program comes in. Francis is our agriculture teacher, and we teach them, and I've shared this in the past, so I'll run quickly, we teach them how to do the raised beds where you dig a trench, you fill it with compost, you cover it with dirt, you then can plant 2 rows of vegetables on that raised bed. You get a bucket, either small or a big barrel, and with drip lines, and these little drip lines, they have little holes in them. that water the vegetables, because you see in Zambia, it rains only 4 or 5 months out of the year. In fact, this year it came late, but we're probably going to get three months of it. But crops can grow over there year-round if they had water. But it doesn't rain a drop for 7, 8 months out of the year. But with drip irrigation, they can grow vegetables year-round. That does a lot for that malnutrition problem I told you about. Zambia is the most malnourished country in Africa. And so we teach them how to do this. They can raise vegetables all year round. Now the reason for the drip irrigation is it's the most economical use of water, because they sometimes have to walk 2 or 3 miles to get their water. So if they fill these buckets up once or twice a day, the big barrels just once a day, they don't even fill them all the way. But if they just get like about 20, 30 gallons a day, that's enough. 20 gallons a day would even be enough. That they can feed their whole family growing their vegetables like that. So our students each get a little plot of land that allow them to grow 12 beds of vegetables. And when they come for the first 3 months, I feed them for the first 3 months while they're getting their gardens going and while they're getting their chickens going. I'll say something about that in a second. But while they're getting their agriculture, their system going, it takes about 3 months. I feed them. But after 3 months, I pull, that stops. And from that point on, our students are self-supporting for the rest of the time that they're there. And I don't bail them out. They learn the hard way. I don't bail them out. If you don't produce, you go hungry or you can just go home. You flunk out. It's very simple. That's where I lose some students. They don't want to work as hard, or they just don't do a good job, and so they flunk out. So here are our first year students doing their gardens here in January, and this was taken 2 days ago. They've got their raised beds they planted. It's rainy season right now, but soon they'll be putting their drip buckets up as well when the rain stops. But they're now getting their garden. And Lori told me this group has gotten their gardens put in faster than any group we ever have had. So she's really impressed with this first year. We also teach them how to raise chickens. Now this is the first year's chicken house. Each student's growing 40 chickens each. And that takes them, we go on a 7-week cycle, and they're growing 40 chickens. This helps supplement their income while they're with us, but it's teaching them how to raise chickens as a business. Now in Zambia, they know how to raise village chickens, that run around and peck and get what they survive, They're the toughest little chickens, scrawny little things you'll ever eat. It's like leather, but we're teaching them how to raise them as a business, where you feed them and sell them. And you'd be surprised how hard it is to teach people business. It's common sense for us. It's not for them. I mean, I had students that go and they sell their chickens and then they come back broke. Where's your money? And here they got all this stuff they bought. Oh, well, how are you going to buy your next batch of chickens? And how are you going to get your feed? And they go, oh, yeah, now you're in trouble. You just sold your capital. Blew your capital. They don't get it, Teaching them the business of farming is hard. I couldn't believe how hard it is. But anyway, this is the first year students. This is the second year. They're growing 100 birds each. And then the third year chicken house, which we just finished just recently, they're going to grow a lot of chickens. Because I want the third year students to earn a lot of money, because we're going to put most of that money in the bank, so when they go home, they will have some capital to get started with their farming at home. So we're training our students how to support themselves, but not just this. I want these students, when they go back to the village, to teach the people in the village how to do all this drip irrigation and chickens. And that's where it gets us into the rest of my mission statement. We want to develop self-supporting spiritual leaders, but we want to equip them for holistic rural ministry. And we are training guys for rural ministry. If we were doing urban ministry, it would be a whole different type of training. But we want them to be able to teach people in their village many things. One of them being how to grow their food. Get rid of this malnutrition and early childhood death problems if they just learn how to grow their foods. And so we teach them, the ministry component, of course, is the agriculture. We teach them how to work with vulnerable children and nutrition and how to develop programs for orphans and vulnerable children. We teach the students and their wives how to start, run, and teach in a community school in their church building. We're teaching them basic health care so they can go home and they can be a legitimate village health care worker, and they will be able to minister in their village. And we're teaching them a lot about marriage and family, because African families are moving from arranged marriages to love marriages, but you know they're not as stable, because when you choose to marry, you can unchoose, so divorce rate has gone up, and when you marry for love and romance, you have more expectations than just surviving, and they don't know how to treat, husbands and wives don't know how to develop love marriages. I mean, men still think their wife is a piece of property. You know what the word in most African languages is for marry? It's the word to buy. I buy a tomato, I buy a wife. That's what the word, buy a wife. They want a wife to be a slave and meet the man's needs, and when she don't do right, what do you do with a cow? You just beat it, right? Beat their wives. Well, wives, does that produce love and romance? Not very well, does it? Not at all. Well, they've got a long way to go in this, so we're really doing a lot teaching our students to develop their marriages, and when they go back to the village, they'll take these relationship principles. That's the problem. In Africa, they don't have no relationship principles. All right, now I got to go on afterburners. Okay, so that's kind of our holistic ministry. There's kind of the ministry side, the humanitarian, and the spiritual side. I want to show you our campus, and then I'll be finished. This is what it looked like when we bought it a few years ago. Now, here's what it looks like. We have a security fence that goes around the entire 50 acres. We have water wells, 4 of them, that go 250 feet down for all the agriculture that we do, the drip irrigation and all that. We had to develop our water system. We have about 8 or 9 of those tanks that we have across the campus. We have a machine that makes blocks out of dirt. You just take the dirt, put a little cement, water, mix it up, put it through the compression chamber. When it comes up out of that compression chamber, it's all packed. You let it dry for 2 weeks. It has little ridges on it that make it stackable, so that when we build, you just stack them like Legos. You don't have to use cement. And except in the foundation, we use a little cement, but after that, no cement. You just stack them. It's very cheap. So I tell people we're building our campus dirt cheap. Literally, all right? I don't know how you can build things any cheaper than we are. I hire guys at minimum wage, and I'm the general contractor. We buy the materials, they build it. Nobody is building anything in Zambia cheaper than we are. Here is in the middle of the campus our small classroom that we have. And then there's our auditorium where one of our classes meet, and we also use this building as a church on Sunday morning. It is a large building, 110 feet long by 50 feet. It's bigger than this building. It even took the outside. It's a big building. We can hold lectureships, workshops. They're going to use it this year. The National Women Lectureship for the whole country are going to come in. They're going to use it. We got a men's thing coming up in August, so we're using it for a lot of things: church, a classroom, a lot of activities. We might even be able to rent it out for weddings and stuff in the future to make a little income to help supplement the support there. Then there's the dorm that's located on the campus, the married student apartments that I've already showed you, and of course we're building the last one there that'll get us up to 30 apartments by April. The student gardens are located right near their houses, as well as the chicken houses that have been built. So that last one has been built now. Then we have our daybreak farming. We're hoping to eventually start developing our own farming operation so we can try to generate a little support, to try to help relieve some of the long-term need for American support. I'm trying to worry a little bit about what happens to this ministry after I'm gone. I'm trying to deal with that problem. We have one chicken house already built that'll do 3,000 chickens. We want to build some more. Then there's Campus Center. We have our business office. We have a workshop with welding materials and air compressor and just everything you need. It's there, welding machine, just a bunch of tools and stuff. We have a little grocery store that we have, and an optical clinic right next to it for Dr. Lori, you know. And then we have the grinding mill, because, you know, most of what they eat over there is corn, and they have to take their corn somewhere to get ground. So our students kind of need it, but also the community. It's a community service because the nearest one is 7 miles away. So this will help bring a lot of people from the village to our campus, and we maybe can even make a little income from that in the future. Our primary school, which we're trying to get it to be self-supporting, and within 3 years, it's halfway there. But it's a fee-based school. We don't do this for free. It's a very small fee, but we charge something. We don't do stuff for free over there. It's not a good thing to do. It promotes dependency. And I'm so dead against creating dependency. In this country, it's a real problem, and we do it all over the world as well. But anyway, we're not doing that. We fight that. Then Karen has her house at the very top of the campus. Next to that is the bathing house facility that we just finished. The teachers' houses are located beside Karen. And then we have some senior staff houses, 2 of them. One is one of our director lives in that. And then we have a visitor house because we periodically have American visitors come over, mainly we have some American preachers that come over and teach a short course. And so we have a nice place for them to stay. Lori and I have our house down in the very corner of the campus. We did that kind of for security and also so I could get away from the pigs and chickens as well. The wind blows from right to left. All right? You see where I put the chickens, right? Our neighbor. He will not build a house, I'm sure, near us. Actually, next to us is another farm. So. Anyway, so we're right now under construction. I'll stop here with this. We're finishing up that building. We're fixing just in another week or 2 to start our office building, and we need another classroom for the 3rd-year students. Need a small classroom for them. I need to build a couple of more, 2 or 3 more teachers' houses that I need to build, and then I want to start trying to build some more chicken houses for us to start seeing if we can make a little money to help provide some long-term support for this ministry, especially when I'm not able to continue to travel and help with the fundraising. So we're there to make a difference, and the way we are trying to make a difference is by training up self-supporting, spiritual leaders who are equipped for holistic rural ministry. The key is leadership, all right? And that's how we are trying to make a difference over there. We also, of course, there's our primary school and the orphan or the children's ministry. There's some other things we've got going, but that's the heart, basically, of what we're there to do. Thank you all for your time, and thank you so much for supporting this ministry. And be sure to go take a look at Karen's photo books back there.